This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's pod. This is a show for the week of December 5th, 2022. And we can both say we're going to Disney this week. So this is a special daytime episode. If you can tell, our backgrounds are a lot brighter from the sunlight. Zencastr was down last night, or this would have been up already. So you get a special Monday afternoon episode, I suppose. So this week, you got my diatribe about my trip last week, so you don't have to suffer through that again. And hopefully you guys didn't fast forward too much through that. But this week, we're going to review our 2022 predictions to get ready for our 2023 predictions in a couple weeks. Our DBC engagement on tips to save money when eating at Walt Disney World. And to balance that, we're going to give our top 3 restaurants that we think are worth splurging on. So this is not just like your normal quick service meal that you're going to grab some food. This is stuff like cool restaurants we're going to go to. It has good food, good experience, that type of thing. And of course, our takes on how much is too much or just enough planning or prep work for your upcoming trip. And I think this is the perfect time for that because now everything's coming to an apex or a crest right now with whether or not our planning's been too much or we're going to execute it perfectly. We got a couple news items. So first, Phil, why don't we talk about what's going on in our Disney World? Outside that we're going.
Outside that we're going. So the big news that kind of came out is that Disney revealed when Splash Mountain will be closing to make way for the redo into Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And it's only been for Walt Disney World so far. They haven't announced anything for Disneyland, although that might be because they did announce Indiana Jones there is going to be going down for refurbishment. So they probably don't want to close both at the same time. But at Walt Disney World in the Magic Kingdom, Splash Mountain will be closing in its current form forever on January 23rd, 2023. So just to be clear, that means the last day you would be able to ride it is January 22nd.
Yes.
2023. So
do not plan your trips for January 23rd.
Yeah. Unless you want to be there to the first day it's closed.
Yes.
And they also revealed a new concept art of kind of a cool scene where the boat's going by and Tiana, what I presume is a Tiana animatronic is there. And there's a whole bunch of woodland creatures playing musical instruments that they've kind of made from scraps in the bayou, and I guess they're going to be performing some Zydeco music and stuff like that. So it actually looks like a pretty cool scene, and hopefully those are all high quality working animatronics they'll be adding to the ride.
My 2 takes from this is the close down time is expected. Everybody was predicting January, February timeline way after the holidays are done. And then 2, the woodland animals look like a nice reuse of the animatronics that are currently there. So that I think you're going to see a lot of reskin of the existing mechanics, which is nice because everybody loves the animatronics on that ride. Overall, I think the concept art looked pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for this. I am very, very, very disappointed with a lot of online chatter about this ride because it's got a political tinge to it, and I'd like to avoid all of those things. So I'm not going to say anything further other than let's respect all the Imagineers' work that's going into this. The person that's behind this is also the person behind Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So whatever you believe on the Great Movie Ride and all that other stuff, this is her job to do. She's not going out to searching for the destruction of the most amazing ride ever. I think this is going to be a positive change for the parks, and I'm looking forward to it. So everything I see looks awesome. I'm just worried about capacity for the parks while this is down for like 100 years.
Yeah. Well, so far they haven't revised their timeline. They said this will still be up by the end of 2024, but we shall see. I actually put a comment in there about how's response to the redo changed. And maybe it's just because where I've been reading or something, but I actually see less negative takes. Maybe it's just people with the whole Save Splash Mountain thing have given up. I don't know, but I'm actually seeing more people like excited for the change and ready for it. Some people definitely are saying that they've kind of let maintenance go on the ride. So when they're riding it looks like in pretty sad shape. So yeah, we'll find out when we have our last rides on there. Definitely see some people a little bummed, like, oh, I'm not going to be able to get there before it closes. Also seeing some people who didn't hear the estimate for the refurbishment asking if when they go in May 2023 if the new version will be open.
Ah.
It's like, no, sorry. Sorry, summer child. No.
Yes.
But we'll see. I think most people are like happy the ride system is staying. Know it needs work to something, and I guess hoping for the best with what this comes. And I think they're excited for the change. So we'll see.
I mean, outside the purists of like wanting to keep original rides, that type of thing, honestly, I don't think anybody cares what the theme of this ride is. Like, no one really knows who Briar Rabbit is. They just think it's a rabbit type of thing.
Yeah.
It's just a fun attraction. Like, it's got a dark, as long as it was a dark ride element and it wasn't just like cardboard and paint put up for the attractions. It's got a really cool element, at the last drop and everything else like that. As long as they keep it to the same consistency, I think everybody's going to absolutely love it.
Yeah, and even the people that are complaining now, I bet they'll ride it and enjoy
100
it
times.
when it comes.
100 times.
And the only other news that I saw came out, it was on WDW Magic is reporting their kind of latest, what they're hearing about the Tron opening. Because that is one thing when they mentioned about Tron not opening until spring 2023, I thought maybe they would push back Splash Mountain just so there isn't that gap of lack of capacity. But it looks like they're hearing soft openings in March of 2023, full opening in April. And then to, probably the surprise of no one, they're hearing that it'll work basically like how Guardians of the Galaxy is working now, that it'll have a virtual queue with the same 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. Or you can buy individual lightning lanes for it. So there won't be any standby line for that.
Mine Train move to regular Genie Plus?
They didn't talk about that. They didn't say what would happen, but I think that'll be a big question. Because if there's any park that could handle 2 rides with individual lightning lanes, it would be Magic Kingdom. But I guess we'll see. But they are fully expecting, this is going to be the big ride. They're going to, like how it used to be with Rise of Resistance, where they're gone in seconds, with the virtual queue and stuff. So,
Phil, is there a numerical chance, as low as it may be, for us to be riding the train this week?
There is. It's greater than 0.
Okay. Are we inserting the Dumb and Dumber quote?
So you're saying there's a chance. Yeah, I mean, I've heard it will be open by Christmas is the last I heard. So we're definitely pushing it. If we had another week, I would feel better.
Yeah.
But they were testing it. I saw, video of it rolling into the Main Street station and stuff like that. Seen footage of it going through the tunnel in the Tron area. So I don't know. My Magic Kingdom day is this Saturday. I think there's a 20% chance I get to ride it.
Ooh, 20%. Well, I'm going Wednesday and Saturday. I don't expect it to be open on Wednesday, but there might be a chance on. We'll know for sure because if they're going to launch it, I think there's a party on Thursday. I want to say.
There's Friday and there might be.
Friday.
I know there's Friday and Sunday. Yeah.
I knew it was the day before. I was thinking it was going Friday. Yeah. So if there's reports of people riding it on Friday, there's definitely a good chance that we get to do it on Saturday. But we'll see. We'll see.
That would be a nice little surprise, but we'll see.
Very, very big. I just want to hear it. I want to hear the whistle.
I know. Right? Even just seeing it come around was pretty exciting, and hearing the whistle, yeah, I agree with that.
All right, let's move on to our takes this week. It's not going to be overrated, underrated, properly rated. It's going to be too much, just enough, or not enough. A little Three Little Bears action for us today. And the topic is, how much is too much prepping or planning, right? So this is a question I constantly ask myself. Am I planning so much that I'm doing useless information in my head, just clogging up my decision-making process?
Right.
So, and I basically came up with this because I was making Phil a little bit on just because I think he was going a little overboard, but I don't blame him, but we'll talk about that just right now because my too much planning is practicing Genie Plus. Now there's some subtleties here. It doesn't mean checking out the data and all this other stuff. It's literally sitting there every 2 hours, seeing what's available. I think it's a little bit too much if you want to do that throughout the day, but I get why you want to see what's available to kind of give a ebb and flow and an idea of it. But sitting there practicing it throughout the day, I think is a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And I say that with humor because I've also have done that a little bit from time to time. So I'm very much guilty of this too much prepping and planning as well. Phil, what is your too much planning?
So my too much is putting together like to the minute plans for what you're going to do that day. So when you have your big, obviously I'm big into spreadsheets, but when people have their like guides where it's like, okay, we're going to ride Peter Pan from 9:06 to 9:11, then from 9:12 to 9:18 is bathroom time, and like from 9:20, like it's just not going to work out. Like you're going to be off like within the first like hour of your day, and then what do you do with the rest of your plan? So I think you can't really count on anything to the minute. You got to plan the big things and kind of work the little things around it.
This is actually a good answer versus mine, because I mean, one of the first times I ever tried doing a trip plan, I've used the touring plans where they actually, give you a GPS basically throughout the park, right? To go, you list what rides you want to go on, and they tell you what order to go on based on current data, and you're just staring at your phone. You're taking all the fun out of it because now it's just like, I'm going to go here, then I'm going to go here, then I'm going to go here, and it's you don't get enjoyment out of it. It becomes a robotic kind of thing, and plus it never really works, like you just mentioned. My just enough planning is basically a lesser version of my too much. It's basically checking out Genie Plus and lines a week prior. So kind of give yourself an idea. So if you're getting Genie Plus and you're actively planning how to do your vacation, take a look like in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, load up my MDE, my Disney Experience, and just take a look at like what's available. So if you want to definitely get a Genie Plus for Jingle Cruise, you should know that throughout the day, what time it doesn't become available. So you have an idea, like you're not disappointed when, let's say you go and you get, Haunted Mansion or Space Mountain first thing in the morning. I'll get Jungle Cruise later. Know that it runs out pretty quickly, so you're not disappointed. So that's kind of good data that I think people should do for planning. It doesn't require a lot. Just pick up your phone and scroll through some things and see what the times look like and stuff like that. It's all readily available. You don't need a reservation or park pass or anything else like that. What's yours just enough?
My just enough is kind of similar, but maybe even a little bit higher level. Just checking and being aware of what the park times are and entertainment guides, especially for the big things like parades and fireworks and stuff, and just keep on top of it. And like kind of checking, 2 weeks out, a week out, because they do change. I've definitely been caught sometimes where we had plans and, when the park was going to open at 10 or something like that. And then all of a sudden 2 weeks out, it opens at 9 or 8:30 or something like that. So, and then all of a sudden when you think you're there for early entry, you're not there for early entry.
No.
So,
and that throws off your whole day if you're down to that level of planning. Yeah, that's an excellent point. All the parks changed hours twice in our stay. They did like 30-ish, 40 days ago. They adjusted some of the Magic Kingdom date or times, and then I think it was like almost 2 weeks ago they changed like the Animal Kingdom time. So constantly keep up on that, especially if you're a person that wants to get there for a rope drop. That's the most important part. Bonus time when the park closes is just extra hours. So maybe that allows you to do something else during the day that you didn't have time for if the park closes an hour later, type of thing. So definitely keep that out.
And other than if there's some like special early close because somebody bought out the park or something, I'd say 99% of the time the changes are expanding the hours. So it's going to be, it's not that they're opening later. It's going to be that they're opening earlier and staying later. So.
Yep. And another good point about entertainment times and stuff like that. Knowing where the big tentpole items, this goes to your main point of not planning the minute to minute, but planning the big things. Know when the fireworks are. Know when the parades are. Know when whatever it might be. Like sometimes they do. Pick a time for the Lion King show at Animal Kingdom, that type of thing. So Festival of Lion King is important, just so you know kind of where things are. For example, during the summer, they changed the times of the fireworks from 8 to 9 o'clock. Because the park closed 2 hours later. So those things do fluctuate. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah. I was going to say those can change too. For example, for our trip, originally there was only going to be one showing of Fantasmic, and then they changed it to having two showings. So kind of staying on top of those things helps too.
So what I don't think people don't do enough of, so what's not enough planning and prepping, there's probably a lot of these things on this list, but let's keep this for people that do some level of planning on every day. Pre-planned contingencies, right? These are not like, if Mine Train is down, I'm going to do this ride. No, not that level of detail, but like if it's really raining this day, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to the park early, or do you want to go in later in the day? Those type of things. If it's really raining, maybe do you want to have something else, go eat somewhere else? Or if it was like a pool day, resort day, just have some things in your back pocket so that when something unexpected happens, you're not sitting there twiddling your thumbs on the most expensive vacation you'll take, saying, "Oh, I'm just going to sit and watch TV in my hotel room." Figure out other things to do. Raining's a big one, so maybe you do you never considered before. Maybe you do resort hopping and check out all the different resorts. Especially this time of year, you've got all the gingerbread stuff that you can kind of go see, and it's kind of fun. But just have some other ideas of what to do, so you're not sitting there kind of doing nothing and coloring in a coloring book in the hotel lobby. So pre-planning that type of stuff is always a good idea. Phil, what's some of your not enough?
Yeah, my first thoughts were some of those like super basic things that you hear sometimes with people that go and that have done like zero research and like wait,
Yeah.
I can't walk from the Magic Kingdom to Epcot, or wait, there's 4 theme parks. Like I'm kind of assuming everybody listening to this at least knows those. What I put for not enough is not having a sufficient understanding of the transportation to and from your resort. Just understanding what the different methodologies are and aren't, so like there isn't a bus if you're staying at a monorail resort that takes you to Epcot. You're expected to take the monorail. If you're on a Skyliner resort, you have to take the Skyliner. There isn't a bus, things like that. And just like what times transportations to Disney Springs starts or the park to park starts. So just kind of understanding how transportation works, so you're not like left kind of like, wait, I can't get there from here or whatever. So that would be my not enough one.
And let me piggyback on that one, because this one is something that I explain to my family constantly when they want, let's go do this, let's go do this, let's go back to the resort. Or other people are talking about, like, we like to do, our kids need to take a nap, so we're going to go back to the resort at this time, or what have you. One of the most important things is understanding the logistics of Disney World and how long things actually take. So you can go online. There's people that do like it's going from Animal Kingdom back to X Resort. It takes an average of 18-minute drives on a bus, knowing that the buses cycle every 15 to 20 minutes at the parks, and you add the travel time, know how long it takes to get everywhere, so you can plan accordingly. So if you want to take a nap, go back and swim, untangling yourself from a park, waiting for a bus, getting on the bus, traveling to your resort, knowing where you're on the bus loop, all that stuff is readily available on any kind of planning site. And says, okay, well, it takes 30 to 40 minutes to get from the park if I have to wait the longest for a bus and get around and everything else. Know that you're taking basically an hour of your day just on transportation away from and to the parks. And then plan is like, okay, well, we're going to swim for 2 hours. Don't plan to swim for 4 hours and realize that it takes an hour to get to and from the parks because of all the other stuff that you have to do to actually use the transportation. So be realistic in your travel times and plan accordingly. I don't know if that's too much prep work. I just might have flipped your not enough to too much. I don't know. You guys let me know out there if that's just a little bit nutty. But that's how I think. I'm a project manager. I think all logistics. I think, well, this step takes 10 minutes. This step takes 5 minutes. It all adds up over time.
Yep.
Right. I think that's it, right?
Yeah. So that is it for our modified hour takes. Let us know what you think. Like, what are things that you hear people doing that maybe you're like, that's a little nutty. That's not, you're not going to be able to execute that, or do you do that? Or do you do things that maybe other people think is too much, but it works for you? Let us know. And you can do so at all of our social media accounts: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all at the DBC Pod. And of course, our Discord server. And we will be posting all over there during our trips.
Yes. And
So
the Disney
follow
comeback.
along.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be taking a lot of video. I'm not sure if I'm going to be posting on TikTok or not. That's reserved for the show, I think. But Disney Comeback Index is not updated because Matt is at Disney World right now, so he's slack, not doing any work when he's back in his room. You want to welcome the new members, Phil?
Yep. New members to the Discord community. I hope I pronounce everyone's usernames correctly. There's Hinahe, T-Dale, and Iha Conway. So welcome to all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of new members this week, so we appreciate you coming on. Okay, so first topic of today is we are reviewing our 2022 predictions. I have not looked at these other than maybe one or two, so I'm terrified. And I know this was something that you went on the lead on, so why don't you start, Phil?
Yeah, so I highlighted a few that I wanted to kind of mention, and let's see. Obviously, they'll be mostly fun ones that we got way wrong, but we'll go through them. So the first one that we listed was related to Genie Plus, since it's obviously a favorite topic of ours. Ours was, what changes do we expect to happen to the Genie Plus system during 2022?
Right. Do you want me to go up?
Well, yes. So I guess I'll let. So Jason, your suggestion was that there would be packages for the resorts staying by the summertime where Genie Plus was included.
Whoops.
So obviously, we did not see that. I said there probably would be that at some point as well. I also thought they would add a modify function, which obviously we did not see that too. Instead, what we got was variable pricing and removing the pre-buying and all sorts of fun stuff like that.
Yes.
So
Not good. Not a good guess by us.
yeah, there is still a lot of chatter about some changes coming, but it's obviously not going to.
That might be a good 2023.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll see.
So then we said, by the end of the year, will we know what the plan for the plot of land that used to have Primeval World will be? So will we know what happens sort of the Animal Kingdom, Dino Land area?
I think we're close on this one.
Well, you said we would know something about it. Theme, vague concepts, but no specifics, which I guess the Blue Sky prediction kind of fits vague right? Concepts, right? I said I thought there might be a little bit more than that, which I guess confirming the details, I guess we sort of know I don't know. I guess we were kind of close on there, but it's I think we thought it was going to be more just a ride that was going to like go in there or something like that. But instead we got these big Blue Sky concepts that may or may not be coming, that may or may not already be greenlit or whatever. I don't know. We'll find out.
Well, I mean, with the change of CEO, so we don't know. I mean, I don't think he's going to come in and just like hand wave and change all the stuff that they've been working on at this point. But we had it written down here. I thought it was just going to be themed walkthrough area because I wasn't expecting much. But if it's anything like the Moana stuff and Zootopia stuff that we saw, it's definitely a really big themed land that could potentially be plopped.
Yeah. So if those concept art does materialize, that is where the water ride would go, which I guess is a combination dark ride, almost Splash Mountain-ish type coaster system. So definitely more than a walkthrough area. Next one I was going to highlight is, what did we think would be the most discussed popular big thing related to Marvel, either movie or TV shows? So kind of the prior year, it was all like everyone's talking big about Loki and stuff like that. So what did we think were going to be the big things this year? So you said nothing really on the TV show wise. And then movies wise, you thought it would be Doctor Strange 2 or Thor Love and Thunder.
Man, did I miss on those two movies?
Yeah.
I mean, I liked both movies, but they've been universally panned as like average to above average movies.
Well, I think they both had like super high expectations and they kind of failed to reach that. Whereas I think things like Wakanda Forever, I think was thought of much more highly than either Doctor Strange 2 or Thor Love and Thunder.
Yep. But on the show front, I don't know. Like a lot of people didn't like She-Hulk. I loved She-Hulk, and I thought that gave some good insight onto the future of the MCU. But
yeah, I don't know if there was any one that got to the level of like Loki or WandaVision or anything like that.
No, I agree. I mean, we had Miss Marvel, which was Moon Knight, which was really good, but I mean, I won't watch them again. They were kind of a little forgettable, other than like the last scene. Like, well, Miss Marvel had two things. It had like the X-Men theme song that was kind of vaguely played, and then you had the last scene, right,
that ties into the Marvels and stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly.
So I guess if there's any, it's probably that one. Also, partly tied into, I think, because Guardians of the Galaxy 3 we're seeing the trailers and stuff for, but a lot of people are into the holiday special that came out for that was recently.
I had T-shirts designed around it. I can't wait.
I saw that. Very nice. So this one was interesting. Will Bob Chapek still be the CEO at the end of the year? And we both said yes, but if earnings aren't good, the noise to replace him in 2023 will get louder. And I think we just didn't accelerate our timeline enough.
I think we predicted this is really, really. What we predicted is he did not get a contract extension yet, so that wasn't on the horizon.
Right.
But yeah, I think the earnings call basically booted him out. That was the last,
last straw, I guess.
Yeah. Right, exactly. So I think we did pretty good on that one.
Yeah. We definitely didn't mention Iger being the one to come back.
No, I don't think I would have ever predicted that.
So the next one I have is, when will Magic Band Plus actually come out, and will it be worth it? And you had picked Memorial Day. I picked a little bit later in the summer or fall, and we kind of split the difference in that they actually came out on June of 2022. So
just a little bit later than, because they weren't available for my trip in July.
Oh, that's when it's okay. Was it later than that? I guess I Googled
it was slightly after my trip, because they were not released when I was down
maybe
there.
June was when the false drop happened, where there were like a couple people found stuff at World of Disney before it was supposed to be out. I think maybe that was June. Okay. So I guess we're pretty close on that one. And I think we said a little bit more than a fad, but nothing revolutionary, which is what it seems to be. People kind of enjoy having them or something like that, but they're definitely not viewed as like a must have or anything like that.
I think the one thing that we completely missed on was the cost. They're relatively low cost, right?
Yeah.
So it's more priced as a gimmick than something that you can really take advantage of, right? It's not extensive. It's a fun little toy, but it's $35. It's $10 more than a regular Magic Band. So
yeah. So I think a lot of people are like, all right, let's grab one and check it out, and like, oh, it does a little bit, but I definitely don't think we're going to see people collecting them like they did with the regular Magic Bands.
Yep.
The next one I was going to highlight is, will the Magical Express replacements be successful, and will minivans return? So you said no, the replacements will not be successful. I said they would be. They're still around. There's 2 of them, and they seem to be doing okay.
I mean, I don't think they're a big success. They're a legit success because they're not like being shut down, right? But you could see people using all sorts of different solutions. Before it was like, if you're flying, you're probably 90% of the people were using Magical Express. If not greater, right? Now people are doing Uber or the bus or a different type of rideshare or town car rental, that type of thing. So I don't think it's a big success, but I think you're more accurate with this. It's a legit success, meaning it can sustain its own self.
Yep. And neither of us thought there'd be minivans back, so we got that wrong.
That's true. That's barely back.
I know, barely back.
Snuck it in there at the end.
And the last one I was going to highlight is, will Tron open in 2022? Will the railroad open in 2022? And we both said no, it will not open, but yes, the railroad will.
I think we're going to hit that one.
I think we might hit that one spot on.
We're geniuses on 1 out of 8 questions, whatever it might be.
So those are the ones. I mean, there's like a whole lot of different things that we mentioned that, but these are always fun to go through. I wanted to hit a few highlights to see how we did.
Yeah, I think I think the one thing that's I kind of chuckle out that I just listed at the back is dining plan in 2022. We would say there was a Q4 announcement. There's not going to be any announcements on that, unfortunately. Yeah. But that's the only other thing people talk about at this point. Okay, good. So let's move on to our top 3. Did you label these in any particular order, Phil, or just three restaurants?
I didn't necessarily label them in like my top ranking or anything like that. There were just 3 I thought of that I think are worth it to splurge on.
Okay, so just to remind everybody, these are top 3 restaurants that we think you should splurge on at Walt Disney World, and you're usually, $60 a person, roughly, that type of kind of splurge for the experience, and you're doing it mostly for the experience and the food, or a combination of both, I would say. So, Phil, what are your top 3?
Yep. So the first one I put is Cinderella's Royal Table. I don't know if it's one that people need to do every single trip, but there's a lot of people that see the cost and like, I don't know if I could do that, or is the food all that good? You're eating in the castle. They build it up. It's like, it really does feel like you're eating in like a medieval castle and stuff like that. It's just so unique, only at Disney. And I think it's absolutely worth doing once. It's not a cheap meal. But it's pretty, kind of Disney magic, and I think it's definitely worth doing once.
I would agree. Right now, you only get to meet Cinderella.
Yeah.
Before you got to meet all the different princesses. I have not done it without all the princesses, so I don't know if that would detract from my experience. So if we go back to the original experience, I would say it's totally worth it. Almost, if you have young kids that like princesses, I think it's almost worth it to go every time, because it's just being in the castle is really cool. I think that's a high value of it, and the kids get a high value of meeting all the princesses.
Yeah.
Would I do that? Would I do this experience now with my 3 young kids? Probably not, with the price tag and not getting all the character meals.
Yeah.
But I've done it before too, right? So I think you're good on this one. I agree with you. I was going to put this one, but you already put it. So
yeah. Second one I picked was California Grill. I think they have really good food. I will say I thought it was better before they went to the prefix, because you could kind of make a solid meal out of just some of the starters and sushi and stuff, so you could do it without spending a fortune. I still think it's worth doing because of the quality of the food and the experience, especially if you time it right, where you can go out and watch the fireworks from the observation deck. I think we ate there when we went with another family that we're friends with. And that was kind of one of those moments where they were like, wow, this is like a really cool experience and stuff like that. So I think that's another one that if you're looking to do something a little bit, kind of fancier, it kind of fits that, but the food is quality and you get that amazing view that you can't get that anywhere else.
No, I'm with you. I've never been there, but that's that's on my bucket list for when my kids get a little bit older.
Yeah. And the last one I put is Hoop-Dee-Doo Review. Obviously, it's a dinner show, so it's not inexpensive, but the food is really quality. It's all you can eat, all you can drink, and the show is just a ton of fun. It was one of those that I was always like hesitant to do because I'm like, are the kids going to like it? Is it really going to be good? And like afterwards, I was like, that was so much better than I was thinking it could even be. Like it totally lives up to the hype, and it's just another one of those things where I just can't recommend giving it a try.
Yeah, I was going to go on this for the first time pre-COVID, so
Yeah.
we're still waiting for the perfect. I don't know why we didn't do it this time around, but it's definitely going to be.
You do have to have kind of the right day because it takes a little bit to get there with it being at Fort Wilderness. And like we often planned it for a non-park day or something like that. But yeah, if you can fit it into a trip, I think it's a great thing at least to do once.
Yep, 100%. I'm with you on that one. It's like you listed two that are like on the top of my list to try. All right, so for my top three restaurants, the first one I'm picking Akershus, only because it's the only place where you can meet all the princesses all at once. And if you've got girls that love meeting princesses, this is kind of worth like not having to wait in line for like Fairy Tale Hall, where the lines could get a little bit long unless you really need those photos type of thing. But this is a really good experience. I don't know what the food is like now with it just being reopened. But previous to that, I thought the food was pretty good. But take a look at that menu because the menu is definitely, it's in Norway, so it's got a different theme to a lot of the food. The second one was what I hit on back in July was Steakhouse 71. I've never done dinner, but I've done lunch there, and it was absolutely phenomenal. It's got a really cool modern look to it. It's got really awesome art all over the place, like pictures of Walt Disney World being built, that type of thing. And it's just really awesome. And you're going there for the food, I think, because the food is very good, but the ambiance and kind of walking into contemporary is really cool too. And then my third restaurant, I was going to put Cinderella's Royal Table, but I put a slash in there and I put Be Our Guest. Used to be able to get away with getting in there for a quick service meal for lunch that was relatively inexpensive. It was kind of like an expensive Panera lunch almost. It was also very hard to get reservation. Now it's a little bit easier to get, but I think it's worth the price of getting in there, just seeing the inside. They did an excellent job in the interior. If you can sit, if you don't mind the loudness, sitting in the main dining hall with the snow coming down in the background and everything else like that, it's really cool. And if you go in dinner, I believe you still can't meet the Beast, but he will walk through the dining room and you get to kind of wave and stuff like that. And that's really awesome. So that's definitely something to splurge on when you're there. And that splits you out between the Contemporary, Epcot, and the Magic Kingdom.
There you go.
I dig it. All right, what's next, Phil? We got our DVC engagement from last week. What did
Correct.
we talk about?
Yeah, so our DVC engagement, we got a lot of good response to this. Was, a lot of people that are regulars to Walt Disney World have their ways of saving money because no matter what you do, it's an expensive trip. Mm-hmm. So our topic was, what are some ways to curb the cost of eating while at Walt Disney World? And you can think about either in the parks or out.
Yep.
So do you want to go through what the community said first or give our input?
Yeah, let's do the community first this time.
Okay. So one of our members, Lumpy, wrote back and goes, oh boy, I feel like I should have co-hosted this one. He had like multiple posts on it.
Yeah.
So I'll quickly go through some of the points they raised. One mentioned about one reason they bought into DVC was to have an actual kitchen so that they could, having breakfast in there every day. And, they could always have like kind of save desserts in the fridge and stuff like that. So you didn't feel like you had to buy snacks or even desserts at dinner because you knew you had that waiting for you when you got back. And it just kind of helped them avoid, buying so many snacks in the parks because they knew they had them back in the room or just to keep stuff.
Now, I want to say because they're DVC members, they're not as urgent to go to the parks all the time. So having a kitchen is also like you're not at the parks all the time, and you have off days where you can actually cook. But then you also have to clean dishes and everything else like that too. So there's
pluses and minuses. But I do also like that the first tip to saving money is spending tens of thousands of dollars on DVC.
Yeah, all the money you spent on that property could have been spent on food.
But yeah. They actually recommended you don't have to go nuts for like the collectible popcorn buckets, but even just getting the regular popcorn bucket, it might be like $15 or something like that. But then it's only $2 refills for the rest of your trip there. So that's another way of kind of getting a good snack to have on in the park that, if you do that 3 or 4 times, you're getting, maybe it's only $4 to $5 for a snack that can feed, a couple people.
I was putting this one in my back pocket for my trip, but so my daughter eats popcorn all the time, but we get her obviously the healthy popcorn that's not buttered or heavily salted. She likes it. So on we were away for the weekend, we were coming back, and I think we stopped at a Starbucks and just got buttered popcorn in a bag. She absolutely detested the smell and the flavor of like artificially buttered popcorn. I'm like, girl, I don't even know who your father is at this moment. This stuff was delicious. But so if you've never eaten buttered popcorn and it's the first time for your kids, maybe you want to try that out before you start spending $15 on popcorn buckets.
The next one they had was, and this one maybe for some people is going a little bit too far, but they use the popcorn bucket from the previous day. They bring it in and they pack sandwiches in it. So this way they don't have to buy lunch in the park. They pack sandwiches and snacks and stuff like that and try to find a spot that they can sort of have a picnic in the park to save money and not buy lunch in the park.
I've seen a lot of people do this. It works. There's different ways you could do this.
Yeah.
It might not be a popcorn bucket, but I've seen a lot of people pack peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to kind of break out and eat throughout the day. It's a smart one.
I think especially if you're there for a longer trip, which if, you're DVC or something like that, you probably are there for a longer time and stuff like that. Buying the full lunches every day for like 10 days or something like that really does add up. If you're only there for a few days, you could probably don't have to worry about sandwiches and stuff like that. But yep. The next thing was just avoiding sugary drinks. Just bring your own water. And obviously I think most people know you can get free water at the quick service stations or anywhere that has refills and stuff like that. And you obviously don't need to pay for anything for that. So that helps a lot. We always bring tons of water bottles and stuff like that. Because
100%.
Even if you're hungry a lot, sometimes just having a little bit of water can help kind of curb that a little bit as well. They did say they do plan a few sit down meals, but that's kind of the big thing is just picking and choosing a few to do. And we'll get to Matt Pato, but he kind of had the same thing too. Is like, if you can eliminate even one table service meal from your original plan, that can really, cut back on some of the savings. Pay for everything. Exactly. And then the last thing they said was they charge everything to their Magic Bands, and then they settle up the night before at the hotel, and they use it all paying Disney gift cards that they got through, say, Target or BJ's or something like that. So you've saved 5% on everything just by using Disney gift cards to pay for it.
Here's the thing about gift cards. My sister did this, and I hear everybody else do that. You're saving 5%. So for every $100 that you're spending, you're saving $5, right? And if you've got dozens or hundreds of cards, you got to not only save them, but you got to organize them and keep them. Yeah. That's not worth $5 per 100. That's not worth 5% to me. That's a lot of a headache that people would gladly do it because they're saving money. It's legitimate. But for me personally, I just don't understand it. It's like too much extra work for me. Yeah. I'd rather spend the extra $5 per 100.
Yeah. It's like, what's your per hour salary of like managing all that?
Exactly. That's how I think about things. I'm broken in my brain, but that's how I think of things. It's my fault.
So looking at some other people, maybe I'll jump to Matt Pato, who just because it tied to the point about the quick service, it was like he said, just substitute in more quick service places for table services. He's talking about on his current trip, they were planning on going to Artist Point. And he's like, once you add in taxes and tip and everything like that to a meal like that, it's like about $100 a person all in there. He's like, and that can almost pay, that could pay for his whole family at Satuli or something like that versus per person. So I think that's a good, and it's like, you kind of have to balance it because a lot of people enjoy table service and it is vacation. Having nice sit down meals is part of it, but it's sort of that, do you need to do 2 every day and that sort of thing? So figure out a couple spots to cut. TL Madden mentioned about bringing snacks. I think that's a big thing we do. I didn't even list that because I know, but we always have granola bars and stuff like that with us. Cause that's where I think you really get killed is like, if all of a sudden one of your kids is like, I'm starving or whatever. And like, you just go to the first stand you see there. The next thing you know, you're spending like $30 on little snacks.
And it adds up quick.
Exactly. One thing which he said, which I don't really think is the spirit of the question, but he basically said, "Ignore the cost. It's vacation. Just pay." All right, I guess that's one way.
Disney's asking you to do. No Jedi mind trick. Do not worry about your credit card statement.
Exactly. Doxy said that at the table service meals sometimes, and this is one thing we always did and why the dining plan didn't always work for us was rather than, you don't have to get like appetizer, entree, dessert. You could just get an appetizer, maybe 2 appetizers, or split an entree or something like that. There's ways to, obviously anything that's like a buffet or a prefix, you can't get away from that. Mm-hmm. But if it's a la carte, you can definitely share things and try to, if you eliminate one entree, that saves like $40, right? So
I think more places going to prefix menus too, by the way.
Because of this, I think so.
Yeah, 100%. A couple things, like a lot of the food, for me, it's tough because the last couple big trips I've taken, I've had the dining plan, so we don't care about food. It's already paid for. But some of the things that we're doing for this trip is, yes, we're doing a lot of the character meals. And I think that was one of the things that you mentioned also, but they're still pretty pricey. You're not saving anything on those for the most part. But what we're doing is we're going to grocery store where all of our breakfasts are going to be like yogurts and breakfast bars and stuff like that. We're not a big breakfast family anyway. We want to hit the parks and get going. We're definitely bringing, a huge amount of snacks with us so we can shove them, already mentioned. So we're not getting like a Mickey bar every 5 minutes somewhere or anything else like that. So again, you're online, you're hungry. Here you go. Eat this kiddo granola bar type of thing. And the last thing is all of our quick service meals, we're not going to go sit down and buy 5 quick service meals. We're buying 2, and then everybody gets like a half a hamburger or a couple chicken nuggets or some French fries. And if we have to, that should be enough. And if we're still hungry in 2 hours, we'll do it again. So that should stretch us out. Now, for example, for one of our Epcot days that we're doing Akershus, and that's this Friday, we have an Akershus call for 3:00. We're going to try to get that a little bit later, but the big meal at 3:00. So all we're going to do is we're going to have our breakfast, maybe some snacks in the middle of the morning, maybe some snacks afterwards, but we're only going to be doing booth stuff at Epcot. So we're going to get a little bit of this, that, and, kind of spread out the cost and not have any other larger meals because Akershus is rather pricey. Yep. You had a couple here. What are yours?
Yeah, so I had the one about if you're going to be doing kind of buffets and character meals, and this was probably more in the past when they had this more available, was to do the breakfast. We used to always do the breakfast at Akershus, which was, if you weren't on the dining plan and paying out of pocket, was quite a bit cheaper. And like,
it's like $30 versus $50.
Yeah, it was like that type of scale. When you multiply that by 5 people, it adds up, and you still, it's the same characters and all that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So that was one thing we did. And the other thing we do is similar to you with the quick service meals, is not everybody needs it, but also we found the kids' meals are often enough food even for us adults. So if we want different things and there's a kids version of it available, we get the kids version. I'm thinking they do the cheeseburger pods over at Satuli Canteen if you want something like that. It's quite a bit cheaper. Usually you also get like a bottle of water and like a bag of grapes that you can save for later and stuff like that. So again, don't do it if there's something you want on the adult menu, definitely do it. But there's sometimes where it's literally the same thing. It's just a slightly smaller portion at like half the price. And you can do that too. Plus I also like doing it with mobile ordering where I get a kids meal and a beer. Just pick that up
because the beer is more important anyway at this point. Those are definitely good tips. I think for our DVC engagement next week, since we're not going to have our show next week, making announcements, we're going to be at the parks. I think we're both going to be at Animal Kingdom on Sunday, and then you're hopping somewhere else in the afternoon, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
So that being said, we're going to extend the hour it takes to our DVC engagement. So whatever you think is too much, not enough, or just enough planning, basically we want to get some of the crazy things you guys do out there for planning. I think that's the funniest part of things. And we'll take a look at that. Just an update on my trip. I'm not even packed yet. If the door is behind me over here, we're open. You'll see things strewn about. We've got a big long list. Here I am. I'm a spreadsheet person. My wife's not a spreadsheet person. We've got a sheet of paper with a list of stuff, and it's just like just a block of. It looks like a cheat sheet for like a high school like exam at this point because it's just scribble all over the place. Where I would have liked to use like an app with like a checklist. We could check things off, whatever. That doesn't work when you're running around writing things down on a piece of paper as you're remembering them. So we're getting ready to go. As of this right now, it's 1:00 Eastern on Monday. and I'm going to be hitting the road sometime in the next 7 to 9 hours, and I'm stoked. So we're getting ready to go. We're going to cut this episode short. This might be one of our shortest episodes yet, Phil. Yet it feels like we have an average time. But anyway, anything we forgot, Phil? Any announcements? Anything else we need to make, or we're just going to Disney World?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's big enough. Yeah. So, like I said, we'll we'll try to. We're hopefully going to meet up for the first time in person.
Yes.
While we're down there,
we'll say hopefully. If we're at the park, like
I know.
Here's the funny thing. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was saying, yeah, we're going to Disney World, and I do a podcast, and I've never met Phil in person, but because of COVID and everything else, so we're finally going to meet. But like, what is the actual meet? It's like, oh, hey Phil. It's like, okay. And Phil has his plans that he's going to want to go to because he's got his Genie Plus cranking out. I've got my stuff. Do we just sit there and for like 10 minutes and just kind of chat hello? Or I mean, like, I don't know what the actual, because everybody's going to be busy, right? We don't want to waste time in Magic Kingdom. And I said, Phil, we got to meet up. We got to do some stuff for the podcast. And I'm like, wait a minute. We're spending a lot of money. It's your son's birthday. Let's downplay expectations. It's not like we're there casually for a relaxing 5-day stay. We don't care what
right,
we do.
And we're not going for the podcast. Like this is just our family vacation. So
yeah, exactly. So I'm looking forward to at least seeing you from a distance and waving, and I'll snap a picture as proof or something for Discord. No, but we're definitely going to meet up with a couple. There's a lot of us from Discord that are going to be down there in various forums, and at some point we're all going to kind of coordinate, I think, and say hello to each other for 5 or 10 minutes as we
exactly
the next thing. I'd like to do a podcast trip at some point in the next year or two. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yep.
But story for another day. That being said, guys, thank you for listening. We will see you in 2 weeks. So make sure you like and subscribe and stay tuned for any in-park content, and then we'll go from there. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.
Take care, everyone.